Hi friend. This is FRANZTERIOUS. And welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video, I will teach you the ways or steps on how to improve your critical thinking. Okay, but what is critical thinking? Critical thinking. It is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and evaluating information gathered from, or generated by, observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication, as a guide to belief and action. If you want to improve critical thinking, it takes practice, but it's actually easy. Just get a simple system to refer back to and you can't go wrong. It provides you with a formula to improve critical thinking you and your students can internalize easily and use every day. It's a lifetime skill and we use it every single day whether we know it or not. Critical thinking is as simple as it sounds, it's just a way of thinking that helps you get a little closer to the best answer. So the next time you have a problem to solve, a decision to make or a claim to evaluate, you can decide whether it's likely to be true and if you should do anything about it. So, let's begin. Number 1. Ask basic question. I sometimes find myself shying away from questions. They can make me feel like a bit of a dummy, especially when whoever's fielding them isn't receptive. But mostly, I can't help myself. I just need to know. And once you go down that rabbit hole, you not only learn more, but often discover whole new ways of thinking about things. I think those other perspectives can also help you get closer to thinking through a problem or uncovering what's what. Which brings me to my next point. Sometimes an explanation becomes so complex that the original question gets lost. To avoid this, continually go back to the basic questions you asked when you set out to solve the problem. Here are a few key basic questions you can ask when approaching any problem. What do you already know? How do you know that? What are you trying to prove, disprove, demonstrated, critique, etc.? What are you overlooking? Some of the most breathtaking solutions to problems are astounding not because of their complexity, but because of their elegant simplicity. Number 2. Question basic assumptions. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. The above saying holds true when you're thinking through a problem. It's quite easy to make an ass of yourself simply by failing to question your basic assumptions. Some of the greatest innovators in human history were those who simply looked up for a moment and wondered if one of everyone's general assumptions was wrong. From Newton to Einstein to Yitang Zhang, questioning assumptions is where innovation happens. You don't even have to be an aspiring Einstein to benefit from questioning your assumptions. That trip you've wanted to take. That hobby you've wanted to try. That internship you've wanted to get. That attractive person in your world civilizations class you've wanted to talk to. All these things can be a reality if you just question your assumptions and critically evaluate your beliefs about what's prudent, appropriate, or possible. If you're looking for some help with this process, then check out Oblique Strategies. It's a tool that musician Brian Eno and artist Peter Schmidt created to aid creative problem solving. Some of the cards are specific to music, but most work for any time you're stuck on a problem. Number 3. Consider motive. We recently got a call from our cellular service provider about changing our very old, very cheap cell phone plan. They claimed they could give us a new plan that would provide better value. But why, my partner asked, would the company be interested in pursuing us so that we could pay less? Aren't companies generally interested in making more money? Good question, right? And the reason we were asking it is because we questioned the cellular phone company's motives. What they said just didn't make sense. Where information is coming from is a key part of thinking critically about it. Everyone has a motive and a bias. Sometimes, like the cellular phone company, it's pretty obvious, other times, it's a lot harder to detect. Just know that where any information comes from should affect how you evaluate it and whether you decide to act on it. Number 4. Keep it simple. In the scientific community, a line of reasoning called Occam's razor is often used to decide which hypothesis is most likely to be true. This means finding the simplest explanation that fits all facts. This is what you would call the most obvious explanation, and the one that should be preferred, at least until it's proven wrong. Often, Occam's razor is just plain common sense. Sure, it's possible that the high-priced skin cream on TV will make you look 20 years younger even though you've never heard of it, and neither has anyone else. What's more likely is that the model shown in the ad really is 20 years old. Critical thinking isn't easy. It involves letting go of what we want to believe and embracing a whole bunch of new information. It's uncomfortable, but it's also interesting. And when you do your research and finally lay out what you believe to be the facts, you'll probably be surprised by what you uncover. It might not be what you were expecting, but chances are it'll be closer to the truth. Number 5. Evaluate the existing evidence. Isaac Newton once said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." When you're trying to solve a problem, it's always helpful to look at other work that has been done in the same area. There's no reason to start solving a problem from scratch when someone has already laid the groundwork. It's important, however, to evaluate this information critically, or else you can easily reach the wrong conclusion. Ask the following questions of any evidence you encounter. Who gathered this evidence? How did they gather it? Why? Take, for example, a study showing the health benefits of a sugary cereal. On paper, the study sounds pretty convincing. That is, until you learn that a sugary cereal company funded it. You can't automatically assume that this invalidates the study's results. But you should certainly question them when a conflict of interests is so apparent. Number 6. Be aware of your mental processes. Human thought is amazing, but the speed and automation with which it happens can be a disadvantage when we're trying to think critically. Our brains naturally use heuristics to explain what's happening around us. This was beneficial to humans when we were hunting large game and fighting off wild animals, but it can be disastrous when we're trying to decide who to vote for. A critical thinker is aware of their cognitive biases and personal prejudices and how they influence seemingly objective decisions and solutions. All of us have biases in our thinking. Becoming aware of them is what makes critical thinking possible. Number 7. Explore other points of view. Ask yourself why so many people are drawn to the policies of the opposing political candidate. Even if you disagree with everything that candidate says. Exploring the full spectrum of viewpoints might explain why some policies that don't seem valid to you appeal to others. This will allow you to explore alternatives, evaluate your own choices, and ultimately help you make more informed decisions. And last, number 8. Consider the implications. Imagine it's election time, and you've selected a political candidate based on their promise to make it cheaper for drivers to fill up on gas. At first glance, that seems great. But what about the long-term environmental effects? If gasoline use is less restricted by cost, this could also cause a huge surge in air pollution, an unintended consequence that's important to think about. Hey, thank you for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe and notification bell button. Because more incredible content is on the way.